Welcome to Minerva, a monthly show where we discuss the mysteries. We hope to give you enough information that you can go away and do your own study. First of all, I'd like to introduce my co-host Duncan.
Hello.
And today we're going to discuss the Georgia Guidestones. So the Georgia Guidestones were erected in 1980 in the middle of America in Georgia. Now, they were put there by a guy called Rosicrucian. We know that because this gentleman approached a local granite merchant and asked them to build this structure for him. When asked who they should put the invoice to, he said Rosicrucian. He also explained that he was a member of a group, but they wanted to remain anonymous. So instantly we're hooked because there's that element of mystery and who is this guy and who is this group? And we'll go into that later. But they were built in granite stone, and there are 4 different pillars essentially with 8 faces on them. And it's supposed to work as a clock, a calendar, and a compass. Very, very beautifully designed, very well put together, very well thought out, and often known as the Stonehenge of America. Although, really, really modern. On each face is a different language, and the language has 10 commandments on it. They're 8 of the most modern languages and well-known languages. So the English is one of them, and there's Mandarin and Spanish, etc., etc. And it's those 10 commandments which we're going to go through and really work through to see how we feel about what this group is saying. So without further ado, it's cleverly constructed, but let's look at, first of all, how these commandments are. The first one is maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature.
A bit of a mouthful, that one, isn't it?
A bit of a mouthful. How do we feel about that?
I think one of the key phrases that possibly almost can explain the structure itself is that very word, maintain.
Yes.
It's not cull, it's not reduced to, it's maintain.
And that's what a lot of people seem to get really antsy about. Is that they feel that this is saying you need to drop the population down and do it now.
Or is it because one of the concepts of it being built was that it needed to survive extreme conditions. And now granite's going to survive extreme conditions anyway. So what were they expecting? And we're looking at the 1980s, in the middle of the Cold War sort of thing, where I was definitely brought up, but my school literature was all being prepared for a Holocaust. Is that it? Is it turning around and saying this is meant to survive the third nuclear fallout, and to maintain is the case that they're already expecting the cull to have happened, and so they're saying when we do grow up to the 500 million, that's what we keep it to, that's what we cap, because we've overpopulated. But I think that the crux is that maintain.
And I think it's a sensible suggestion.
Unfortunately, yes.
We are overpopulated on the earth. We know that, and that obviously some places more than others. But it doesn't seem completely out of whack if you were going to start again.
Well, I mean, there's so many films nowadays which where the villainous plot is been down that way of culling humanity because we are overpopulating the one planet that we actually have.
The second one is guide reproduction wisely, improving fitness and diversity. Well, again, there's a beautiful level of practicality of it. I mean, the concept of diversity, again, if we're looking at the idea behind it is this idea of a conflict. Most of our conflicts are over lines. I know it's ideology one way or the other, but it's normally done from nation to nation. Very true.
And we know about other hostilities that come through the faith or racism. And so the idea of that diversity being a sense of really making a one race like... Well, we are one race, but we are the human race, but we seem to want to subdivide it into different things. So that reproduction wisely in that, I hate to say it, does sound, there's a logic to it.
It sounds sensible. And also fitness being in there is quite a good one, because what they're saying is, constantly improve. Make sure that the people that are having children are in a situation to have children and to be fit and able to be able to produce, better human beings. And possibly, again, it sounds horrible, but looking at it from with fresh eyes, it doesn't feel unsensible.
Well, that's the other thing. Again, if we're looking at the 1980s, maybe there is a fight against the lethargy. Sense that we're not keeping our own bodies fit. We're becoming lethargic in life, in the sense of, no, the health isn't just a case of making sure the next generation is healthy, but just to take care of our bodies as much as taking care of the planet.
Yeah.
Both will fail.
Yeah. Number 3 is unite humanity with a new living language.
Yeah.
Now that's really interesting, because and I've said to you in the past when we've been discussing this, I found it quite interesting when UEFA, the football governing body, said that all referees must now speak English and must speak English on the pitch, because there was a need. Now that we're all so close together, it's so easy to travel, things like the internet, just everything is so much more connected now. There's becoming more and more of a need for one language.
Well, the fascinating thing, I mean, my side is I enjoy the study of religions, and there's one faith called the Baha'i faith, who actually has in their doctrine, for want of a better phrase, a belief that there should be one universal language, and the language Esperanto, which is a completely man-made language, was actually made because the professor of the languages, his daughter became a Baha'i, and she said about there should be one universal language, and that's why he wrote Baha'i, and wrote the Esperanto, and the word Esperanto means hope, because that's what it's meant to be, the hope that everybody could talk to each other without, because it's misunderstanding. Sometimes the conflicts we have is not because we had the intent to offend, but we've misinterpreted something. And so their idea was that every country should learn its own language to maintain its identity, but also the Esperanto, so it could speak to anybody in the world without conflict.
Yeah, and again, I think we're both feeling that's reasonably sensible.
It is.
Yeah. Number 4 is rule passion, faith, tradition, and all things with tempered reason.
Yeah.
Now, again, we're looking at what seems like quite a sensible suggestion in some ways, but also what it's trying to do is tell people to be reasonable about things that they are passionate about.
Yeah.
Are we kind of dumbing down and start trying to make people more lucid with this?
Well, that's true. I think the key thing is there's two phrases. There's the temperance and there's the reason. The temperance is the concept of you've got your passion. I understand you enjoy this, but just keep it calm. But that reason is that concept of think about what you believe. Think about whether that be a political ideology or a theological one. Test it. What's it stand up against reason? And I think those two words combined, I think it's a fascinating and quite distinct statement.
Yeah, I think this is the one that really holds people that are really religious, because it does say faith in there. And I think people that are religious feel that they shouldn't have to, temper or lose their passion or reason for their faith. So that's quite an interesting one. But certainly, again, looking at it just as a statement seems reasonable.
Yes, yeah.
Number 5, protect people and nations with fair laws and just courts.
Yeah.
How are we going to do that?
We've been trying that since civilization began, haven't we? We've failed so often. But if that's the underlying doctrine, in the sense of, again, if you put it back to the first one, the sense of instilling reason into the parts in, and we're keeping it temperate. Are we doing a law as a knee-jerk reaction, or are we actually addressing the problem as it actually stands?
Yeah.
But I certainly haven't got an answer to what that could actually be. But
no. Number 6, let all nations rule internally.
Yeah.
Resolving external disputes in a world court.
Yeah.
Now that's really interesting, because everything so far feels that it's about everybody being united as one people.
Yep.
And now all of a sudden the last 2 have been talking about nations.
Yes.
So they're very happy to keep the borders that we have.
I don't know if it's a concept of happy. I wonder if it's more of a case of we are as a race, we're very tribal.
Yes.
And we hold on to our traditions, and we value our traditions, and our traditions are different from place to place. So I'm wondering, strange enough, because it's only it seems to resonate with this particular faith, the Baha'i faith, where I said it before, where they advised 2 languages, and one of them was to learn you keep your own because of that cultural identity, because we can't deny that. We have our ancestors, and no matter what we feel about them, whether we venerate them or just appreciate them or respect that they got us to where we are, I wonder if it's more of a case of we ain't going to be able to change this tribal aspect of humanity, so accept that we're going to have different countries, and so we have our internal systems. But, I mean, that concept, that word of conflict, that is so broad. Is it just not getting on, or is it, right, we want to invade, we want to do something like that? The peaceful resolution of going to a universal court rather than, right, we want to fight about this. Yeah,
and again, on paper, this seems reasonable.
Yeah.
Whether or not it would work in reality is another thing, and that moves us on to the next one, which is avoid petty laws and useless officials.
Which is, it seems like almost hammering a point home, because if you've mastered some of the earlier ones, this one shouldn't actually hit the list, which makes you wonder, a sense of, is that one very much a product of the time? Something built in the 1980s. Are they saying that if this is in preparation of sort of like a post-war advice block, is that, the reason we got here was for useless officials and petty laws.
Yeah, and at the time of filming this, we're amongst Brexit.
Yeah,
in England, which has the feeling of useless officials and certainly pettiness.
Yeah,
it could almost be written recently. So I think this is something that keeps happening, and maybe is something from a societal point of view we need to look at.
Yeah.
Moving on, number 8. Balance personal rights with social duties.
Yeah.
Tough.
But clever. Yeah. It's against, I suppose, take it to a modern part, where we think that we want to provide for the less fortunate in our society. Yeah. But where do we define less fortunate? Where is a sense of, you need your flat, my life is insecure because I haven't got a flat screen TV. Yeah. Where is that right? Is that balanced reason? I see that this statement being that point, in a sense of, well, our duty is, I'll get food on the table. We provide you with this is what you need. Yeah. I see that, and of course that analogy expands onto many other things.
And it talks about that social duty, so our duty to each other, people, and our duty within society, is how we treat each other, because that's a big point that seems to fill all the way through this. This is very aimed at laws, aimed at the way that things are governed.
Yeah.
And this one feels a little bit more like it's self-governance.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah.
So moving on to number 9, and this one we both really like.
Oh, yeah.
Prize truth, beauty, love, seeking harmony with the infinite.
Yeah. Well, it's for you and I, it's an absolute no-brainer. It sounds so Masonic, that it would not be out of place in one of our lodge meetings.
No, not at all.
From the whole concept, the first phrasing in the sense of the policies of values on those virtues, but that last statement, the sense of the infinite, it's I don't know. It seems just resonating about a supreme being, God, but also it's a universal phrase. It's not even using the word God.
No,
I mean, which we know is just a plain noun, but people do use it as a pronoun as well.
Yeah.
But it's open to interpretation.
Yeah, it definitely feels Masonic, and it's that word love, which doesn't seem to fit with world courts and lots of these other things. They all feel very clinical, but actually going back to saying harmony and love are universal truths.
Yeah.
And then we talk about infinite, and that just brings the universe into it. I think it's a beautiful statement, and one that we can all learn so much from.
Exactly. But harmony is such a Masonic. I know it's not related to it in the sense of we use it. Well, we don't use it so commonly outside of in our language, but harmony is such a phrase for us.
Yeah, and I think that's one where again, we agree, it makes perfect sense if you're looking at these commandments. Number 10, the last one.
Yeah.
Be not a cancer on the earth, leave room for nature, leave room for nature.
Yeah.
So it repeats it twice at the end.
So good they named it twice, definitely. Our first one, out of all the sentences, the last one holds a far more poetic prose to it, doesn't it? Be not a cancer. It's not. Cancer is a disease.
Yes.
It's a medical disease. They're using a metaphor to describe a point, which they haven't used in any of the. It really is like a closing statement to it.
It is.
But that the last phrase to repeat. Why? Is it because it's just the singularity, or is it often for duality? It says, was it, don't be a cancer on earth because of...
don't be a cancer on the earth, leave room for nature.
Leave room for nature. Now, is that a sense of we live in balance with nature, or is it also the case that if we are looking at a post-apocalyptic sense of, leave room for nature, we've got to let this bugger grow again now, so... If you want your hut there and there's a green leaf, let the green leaf grow because that's now more important than you are.
Yeah, I mean, overall, the Ten Commandments to me seem very sensible.
Yeah.
From the point of view of building again.
Yeah.
And I think that's where I'm at with this. I think this was put there because whoever this society or this group or whatever they are of anonymous people felt that at some point there was going to be this apocalypse. There was going to, we were going to blow each other up. There was going to be a nuclear fallout, and some people would survive.
Yeah.
Now, going back to looking at some of our other research into other secret societies, they often perpetuate these thoughts that something's coming.
Yes.
There's always a doomsday. There's always something coming. There's always this thing. And I wonder if that, if this is a group of people that have a society together which have always believed that.
Yeah.
And felt that this was how they were going to make their mark and help the people who survive actually build a society which is better than what we have.
Well, exactly. I mean, we've got the lovely hint in his name, isn't it? Was it Chris?
Christian Rosicrucian is who's venerated in the Rosicrucian order, and said to have started the Rosicrucian order. But this is signed by R.C. Christian. Yeah,
which is. It's so close that it's.
It feels like a nod, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah. And I can imagine that there would be, if they're wealthy enough to do this, it's not an over expense, but it's a hefty investment that goes there. But it could be a group of people, a sense of they saw the political situation at that time. I grew up in my teenage years in the 80s, and I was convinced that World War III was going to come. It was. The BBC, etc. We had programs preparing us of what to do with it. It was a strong reality to it, and so if it was considered for me to be, it was going to be inevitable. It's the same as someone in America said, "So what can we do?" And it's what's actually put up is a case of either from the viewpoint of this is going to happen. This is what we can do. Or it's a case of, we've foreseen this happening. This is what we should do. This is the only option we have now to survive from here.
Yeah. A lot of the research that's been done outside of this has always linked it with Rosicrucianism in a way. And again, it's because I think it is because of that R.C. Christian. I don't necessarily believe that the Ten Commandments are aligned with Rosicrucianism.
Oh, agreed.
Some of them do, but just in a general way more than anything.
Yeah, some truths are just universal, aren't they?
Of course, yeah. So for me, I would pretty much throw that out. But I do believe that there's a society behind this. I think there are a group of people that have financed this for that particular reason. And what's quite sad is that people in the kind of more conspiracy theory world and people that believe that there's this one world government out to get us have gone along and thrown paint over it over time. And also you hear lots of things about this. It really upsets some people, this set of rules. And for me, I do think they're reasonably sensible.
They are, but there will always be that anarchic part of society. It does seem, although there's the logic to them and there's the reason, for an actual society, I think, because there's another stone, isn't there, a little bit further along, which has a description of the bits and pieces on it. But it also says there is a time capsule, and this time capsule should be opened on this date.
Yeah.
And it's never been filled in. No, which of course some people say, oh, the day is not known yet. No, but it's more than likely, you know what? The political threat dropped, the Cold War came to an end.
Yeah.
The actual idea of actually, you know, it's redundant. We don't need to do this anymore to be put into it. So I don't really believe. I believe in a group of people is possible, and even not probable. They gave themselves a name, but I don't see it as really as one might interpret the concept of a society. But I think there's 2 points. We have to see it. I personally see it as it's what's there is right, just, and if something did happen, it's not a bad way to start up again. But I think it's really more of from a physical point, and the reason it's actually there, more of a homage to life in the 1980s.
Yeah, and I agree that I think that's where the fear comes from. But for me, I think there's, to do something like this, it feels that there's a real passion and drive behind it.
Oh gosh,
and to me, that would only come from a collective of people who are kind of egging each other on and putting this finance together to do it. But that's where we'll have to agree to kind of disagree.
Oh no, I agree with you. I do believe that you say you're quite right. There's so much diversity in those 10 Commandments that it's not just one person's perspective. It's several people's own in there. But maybe it's just the society thing we disagree on.
Exactly. So the other thing that is really interesting for our viewers to go away and look at, there are stones above, so there are the very tall stones, and within them are some square stones with numbers on them.
Yes.
And I've never really got to the bottom of what those numbers meant.
No.
And so for anybody watching, please do go away, research that, and then come and tell us in the comments, because we could always do another catch-up video onto this one of what those mean, and also talk a little bit more about the compass and the clock and the way that it works, because it works, again, like lots of these ancient buildings, like the pyramids, etc. They're aligned with the stars. Yeah,
there's holes drilled through, there's little graven lines going through, pointing at different constellations. It's an intricate design.
It is, and the point of what we do here is to give people that base knowledge to go away and do their own research, and there's so much more you can do on this. So please go away and do that. Please like, subscribe and comment and tell us what you think about this, and we'll look forward to seeing you again very soon.